Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Range podcast with Warhog Tactical and Kelley Fenced. I am Mark Kelley, and joined with me, as always, is my co-host and friend from warhog.com, Rick Hogg. How's it going, buddy?
Man, Mark, it's going great. Just want to thank you, the viewer, listener out there, for giving us your most precious commodity to tune in. But really, I'm going to kind of jump right into something. We had a catastrophic aircraft incident last night. Pray for those families, man.
Yep.
Pray for those families. I mean, this day and age, it shouldn't happen. Unfortunately, it did. There's some speculations on things like that, and we'll jump into that stuff here in a little bit. But really pray for those guys. But for you, the viewers, listeners, I can't thank you enough for giving us your time to tune in. Greatly appreciated. Guys, do us a huge favor. Like, subscribe, leave us a rating, review, whatever platform you're listening on. That's what's going to help us beat this big tech algorithm, get the word out there. We're still being suppressed, right? You're out there, free speech. But hopefully, On the Range podcast will be at the White House here shortly, sitting there in the press room, maybe asking some good questions. So
Yeah.
looking
Yep.
forward to
We're
this new
gonna.
administration. I'm excited for the next 4 years, buddy. So
Yeah. We're definitely going to apply for those credentials for that open media seat that they're going to have at the White House press corps. So, hey, you know what? If it's going to be anybody, why not us? That's what I got to say.
same here,
So.
pal.
Yeah, wherever you are, thank you for making us part of your day. Yeah, it had a somber beginning, and we're going to talk about that right off the bat, and give those who haven't heard what had occurred a little update on that. But wherever you are consuming, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, just like Rick said, and go to ontherangepodcast.com. Make sure you check out all of the crew memberships, all the industry partners, and all the episodes and stuff like that. It's a one-stop shop. You can try the crew membership for free. We'll talk about that later in the show. And also swing by warhog.com and kelleydefense.com. We're doing these lives. We're live right now. If you're listening to it on the audio side of the house, you're going to miss some of the video aspects of it when we show some of the news coverages. But at the same time, we'll leave it in the description so you can pop it in there and see the video. So, yeah. So Rick, you're right. It was catastrophic, and we have opinions about all these things. That's what people want to hear, and it's a tragedy, and we hate to say, I never like to say that these things just happen. I don't like it, but this is a horrible incident, and you and I have some opinions on it because we understand how some of these flight corridors work,
Mhm.
and how sometimes those margins of error are razor thin, but typically not so much over the District of Columbia, our capital. So I'd like to hear your first comment on that about the infrequency of this and how something like this could happen.
Yeah, I mean, especially at a major metropolitan airport, your air
Yeah.
traffic controllers, man, these guys are spot on. And if you do any research, what you'll never see is the behind the scenes, how many catastrophic incidences these guys are correcting. You got pilot error. Hey, they're on, the runway and they think they're on the taxiway. Hey, this plane pull off. They do a fantastic job. Now, when you look at military aviation, yes, military aviation does have some history of having some catastrophic incidents. However, you have to look at all the environmentals that usually causes those. Some type of dust, snow, adverse conditions. There's something that's usually attributed to what happened. The thing that I'm concerned with is how does a Black Hawk helicopter, an American airline flight, under control of air traffic control, U.S. air traffic control, clear night, all their visible markers on, how does this helicopter collide? And when you look at it, at least from what I saw on the initial radar screen, it's almost like the Black Hawk is going forward and rams it from the rear versus like a head on or something crazy. So the American airline flight, hey, he's en route doing his business, both under air traffic control, and then we have a collision. Now, we don't know anything about the air crew. From what I saw from the video, everyone had their markers on. Were the pilot still on the goggles? Probably. They should have been goggle qualified, right? Should have clearly seen, hey, man, the American airline plane. Hey, what are those strobe lights? What's going on here, right? I mean, just from the mere my understanding, my dealing around as much aircraft as I have, I find that hard to believe that them basically going the same flight path, you can't pick up that other aircraft. And then, oh, by the way, air traffic control being in control. So there's something's not right. And Trump made a tweet about it, or Truth Social, whatever he did. Um, all the same things, clear skies, there was nothing odd about it. What happened? And that's my concern. Um, and I hate to even say this or throw it out there, but I will, because the last 4 years have been catastrophic for our country. Was the pilot a DEI guy or girl? I don't know, right? We know we've had some issues in the military from the last 4 years and DEI being plugged in there. Um, so was it somebody that maybe should have been let go but didn't because they needed numbers, do whatever? I don't know, and I don't want to speculate, but I'm just throwing it out there. At this date, until we kinda, peek and get in there and clean house, I think anything's, open and subject, to that scrutiny.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, we both just want to send our hearts and prayers out to the families of everybody
Mhm,
involved. It's a tough situation, but at the same time, we owe it to everybody involved to figure out what the heck happened, and we're going to show some coverage on this. But you and I both having experience with aircraft a lot.
mhm,
You especially, but we both have a lot of experience with the aircraft operations from what we used to do working in and around DC, and we know that those flight corridors, especially for the military aircraft coming to and from Virginia, wherever they're coming from, they are very strict adhered to. And it
mhm,
looks as if that he or she who was operating the military aircraft was in that path.
yeah,
And like you said, that side collision means that they passed right in front of them and they clipped the back of the plane, and that was it. And everybody went down. So I don't know if especially on those waterways, which are used
mhm,
a lot of it's not only where you are, windage wise, it's elevation because there's a lot of infrastructure going over those
yep.
waterways and all kinds of stuff. It's just a lot going on. And I don't know if maybe they got confused of where they were, their attitude or whatever, but we'll see what
It
happens. But let's go ahead and run. Go ahead.
but let me pause you for 1 second, Mark, right?
Yeah.
Um, knowing what I know, my experience I have, my cockpit time in a military aircraft, dude, there's no way, right?
Yeah.
That thing is run spot on. So you're looking at, how did both the pilot and the co-pilot totally blow this, right?
Yeah.
Because in your Black Hawk helicopter, you've got 2 pilots up there,
Hmm.
you know? Now, was the crew chief hanging his head out? Was he just hanging out in the back for a ride? Not even worried about him, right? But those 2 pilots, one of the 2 should have picked up something. One of the 2 should have heard air traffic control, right? And that's where I just say something. What it'll eventually come out what's up, but there's
Yeah.
something suspect, man. No way. So
Yeah.
I just had to
Yeah.
throw that in there, but let's roll the
No,
footage.
it's absolutely correct. And when you're in an aircraft like you and I've been into, sometimes you're a two-man crew,
Mhm.
and hey, everybody's head's on a swivel, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah.
and especially in those major metropolitan areas. Um, yeah, we'll see. So here we go. Let's take a listen to the initial reports.
Correspondent Jennifer Griffin, excuse me. She is live at the Pentagon. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning, Dana. We expect to hear from Defense Secretary Hegseth in the briefing room sometime within the next hour. We just received a recorded statement from him. Defense Secretary Hegseth said that this was a required annual proficiency training flight. The Army pilots are required to do an annual night evaluation. The video was obtained by Lucas Tomlinson of Fox News. Family notifications have begun, we're told. We began speaking with Army officials shortly after the crash at 9 p.m. last night. That's when we learned that an Army Black Hawk helicopter was involved in the crash and 3 soldiers were on board. They were on a training mission. Officials say there was no sign of terrorism or criminality. Officials say one of the soldiers on board the military helicopter has been recovered. These were experienced Army pilots, we're told. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz spoke from the White House this morning and raised an important issue, suggesting one of the questions that will be asked: were the pilots using night vision at the time of the crash?
This was a routine training flight. As you know, a Black Hawk typically has 2 pilots. In this case, it was, and I can tell you it was an officer and a warrant officer. They tend to have a lot of experience. And then you have an enlisted crew chief in the back.
We have learned that there was night vision capability on board the aircraft. Again, whether the pilots were using it at the time, we don't know. There was nothing unusual about the flight paths of either aircraft. We're told there are designated corridors for these military helicopters in the DC area. The Black Hawk helicopter took off from Fort Belvoir, Virginia, which is where these helicopters are based, about 14 miles outside Washington, D.C. You often see military aircraft flying in and around the Pentagon, ferrying senior military officials or practicing for routine missions in the skies above the Capitol. The Army issued the following statement, quote, well,
before we go into the statement from the Army, and then Pete, it sounds like he's going to have a statement as well, prior to his full press conference. Those who are viewing, you can see this coverage from Fox News. Is that corridor, again, we talked about it, they are very tight. They're spot on. They're strictly adhered to. And it looks like they were on it. It looks like they were pretty early in their flight as well. And it's definitely following that waterway. Yeah. So
but let me add a couple points, Mark, right? So they gave some important information that I didn't know up until this point. So you had a captain and a warrant officer. More than likely, it was the captain getting the check flight. And again, if it's a proficiency flight, that warrant is probably an instructor pilot, just so, hey, in case anything happens, he's got control of that aircraft. So it, again, just sheds a little more light, annual nighttime. And here's the thing, I thought, and don't quote me on this, I don't know the current military regulations. I didn't think their flight proficiency on the goggles was annually, right? To me, that seems way long. I thought it was I think it was every 3 or 6 months. And I can't remember, again, regular Army side versus special operations side. I mean, them guys are flying under goggles all the time, but regular Army side, I don't know what their requirements are. So
it does seem like a big gap that's a long time to go without being under nods.
That's a long time to be for a proficiency flight.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
While performing a training mission, a United States Army UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter from Bravo Company, 12th Aviation Battalion, Davison Army Airfield, Fort Belvoir, Virginia, collided in midair with an American Airlines Bombardier CRJ 700 regional jet flight 5342 last night at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. This was a standard UH-60 Black Hawk, a 4-blade, twin-engine, medium-lift utility military helicopter manufactured by Sikorsky. It can carry up to 15 people, including 2 pilots, 2 crew chiefs, and 2 rescue specialists. Defense Secretary Hegseth, again, we expect to hear from him within the next hour. We also have a recorded statement that he made just moments ago. Here it is.
It was an annual proficiency training flight. We do know on our side who was involved. It was a fairly experienced crew, and it was doing a required annual night evaluation.
I can tell you as...
Yeah. What do you think about that, Rick, before I go in there?
I mean, I thought they had their requirements were more than just annually under goggles. That's a long time, in my opinion, to go, hey, proficiency or not.
Yeah.
But again, that's the military requirement, not mine. So again, I still say when you're looking at proficiency flight, that PIC or pilot in charge, dude, he's making sure everything's straight. So I find it hard to believe. And then Pete's going, hey, it was an experienced crew. The warrant was definitely experienced. How much time the captain have? I mean, I don't know. So again, just suspect and just a catastrophic incident that didn't need to happen. And I'm sure as we get more details, we'll find out what's up, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. And we all know how that is. Hey, man, can I get on this jump because I haven't jumped in the last, let's squeeze this in kind of thing. Who knows?
No,
it happens because they got to keep that proficiency up, but
Sure.
a year, you got a year to do it.
It seems like a long time, man. They
It does seem like
required
a
us,
long
hey,
time.
and them guys are getting flight pay, right? So let's just
Sure.
apply common sense for a second. We had to jump every 3 months. Now, granted, you could stretch it out to 6, but then you owed them 2, right? Um, but it was all about for the pay. I find it hard to believe that the Army let pilots go a year before they're getting on the goggles. So
Mhm.
I could be wrong. I don't know all the ins and outs of the regular Army aviation system goggle requirements, guys. If you guys know, hey, shoot them in the comments below. Kind of educate us on what's up there. But that's just a very long time, my friend.
It certainly seems like an awful long time, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
As I drove across the Potomac River this morning, Dana, and walked toward the Pentagon, it was an eerie sight. Not a single flight in the air. This is normally a very busy corridor with military helicopters and commercial aircraft flying down the Potomac past the Pentagon, circling above the Pentagon. The last time it was this quiet in the skies over Washington, D.C. was after 9/11.
I'm Steve Ducey.
It seems like the American Airlines flight had some U.S. figure skating team members on it. I don't know, with some Russian figure skating nationals. I don't know, but as soon as we learn some more, we'll definitely put that stuff out. But it's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And I think we got a little bit more on this crash that I kind of want to check out. But let's go ahead and bring this up. See if there's anything good on there. That's a big body of water. That's a big body of water. And they didn't really say how high up they were when the collision happened. They haven't given those type of details out.
So it's not super high, because I've seen the footage of the actual
It doesn't
crash.
seem like it.
Right.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah, the fireball. So I've seen the air traffic radar and then the collision above. And they're not that high. Right. And I can't remember, don't quote me on this. I think the American airline was coming in for their landing, I believe. But again, don't quote me on it. So, but it's air traffic control. I mean, you could see the indicators going on there, because on the radar, hey man, when aircraft start getting too close, they've got, their little flashing lights and all this other stuff. So, and those guys are typically on the radio. Hey man, barking orders. Hey, do this, do that, turn here, whatever to those aircraft when they have those brain fades. And I don't know. It'll all, I'm sure over time here, it'll all come out, but it's definitely a catastrophic incident that I think could have been avoided.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Let's bring in John Roberts now. He's on the scene, getting set to host America Reports, but helping us out this morning. He knows the area, knows the routine, knows aviation. So John, there are some reports that even overnight, they were pulling out some bodies. Have you been able to confirm anything like that?
We have not heard reports from police where I am yet. I mean, that's probably what the situation is. The emergency services launch into action so quickly when something like this happens. Remember, a little more than a week ago, there was a car accident on the Arlington Memorial Bridge. A pickup truck went off the bridge and into the Potomac River, and divers were on the scene within a number of minutes. So when something like this happens, they're always prepared for the worst and to respond to it. There are so many police agencies around here. The Coast Guard is just a little bit up the way. We see the Coast Guard helicopters flying here all the time. So they are well equipped to respond to an emergency like this. But it's still such a shock to the system here in Washington, D.C., that something like this happens. It was back in 1982, the last time that a plane went down in the Potomac River. You'll remember the Air Florida flight. And so much going on today in D.C. as well, with confirmation hearings for the FBI director nominee, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard as well for ODNI. Those hearings, as we understand, are going to go ahead today because, as Tom Cotton was saying, as Sean Duffy was saying, it really drives home the importance of the president having his national security team and all of his support staff and advisors in place. Because when you've got to respond to something like this, you want to make sure that you've got your team in place.
Sure.
Now,
Well, speaking about that response, though, Rick, I think we can both agree for sure that having the transparency that this administration has is going to be a big help.
Oh,
It's going to be a big help. Pete's already released something from his desk or from the war room, whatever they're doing for the response to this. And getting out some basic information like that seemingly is simple, but I don't know why this past administration and previous administrations haven't been that way. But the president is definitely committed to that. And it really allows everything to the temperature to go down, and the anxiety about certain things that already exist being unnecessarily affected by just putting out some basic information.
That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, what people want to know, am I safe to fly?
Yes.
And was this a fluke? Was this, again, you've heard people talk, hey, was this an act of terrorism? Did these guys just lose it and decide to crash their helicopter? No one's saying that, but you want to squelch the rumor mill. And we all know at the end of the day, rumor mill and just drive stuff crazy. So
right.
If the more you can put the public at ease and just go, hey man, here's what happened. And once black boxes are recovered, everything else, they get all the input from air traffic control. It'll be pretty, evident what ended up happening here. But the transparency, man, that is all the American people are asking for. Just be transparent. Just tell us the truth, right? We've been lied to for so long that at the end of the day, we're tired of it. So my hat's off to the administration, coming straight out, making the statements. And I have no doubt that over time, we'll find out exactly what's happening. But something's going to take a little bit, right? They got to go fish some stuff out of the bottom of the Potomac. Once it's all recovered, decipher all that stuff. It's going to take time. So,
yeah.
And I remember he talked about that plane crash in 82. I remember that, man. It was a horrible snowy conditions. Aircraft was taken off, didn't get de-iced properly or something. That plane went into the Potomac, man. And those cats trying to swim over that ice and everything else, diesel fuel in the eyes, people couldn't see. And the response there was phenomenal as well. So DC, when it comes to, and I even hate to say the word aircraft accidents, but they have a great response. So, but when you look at that mid-air collision, man, it is just a fireball. And how do you survive that? I don't know. So,
yeah. I mean, it's good to put those folks at ease when it comes to things like that, because that's the first thing that's on your mind. Oh my goodness, was this intentional? All that kind of stuff. And
that's it.
Even if you don't like the information, if you don't like what they're saying, and people don't like what we're saying.
Yeah.
It is what it is as far as, the facts that they know at this time, and at least you can deal with it. Same thing with the drones. He immediately came out and said, hey, look, these were authorized through the FAA. We had suspected that because of all their lights and everything going on, and some of the geo fences that were up, but these were not affected. That's because they were there. They were allowed to be there. Right. Those kind of things. Now you can argue if these are aliens or if this is other people doing other stuff all you want. And that's okay. As long as hey, we're not looking for a dirty bomb in New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Well, I think your transparency plays right into kind of part of the next big thing of this podcast. You look at the release of between JFK, RFK, and the MLK files, right? Just trying to be transparent. And, I'm going to give you kind of my two takes on it. Why was some of this stuff classified? Why was it held? I think when RFK and JFK come out, I think we're going to be shocked at some things. That's just my gut, and we'll talk more into that. But if we go into the MLK, when you look at the documents that came out, what would have happened in the 60s during all that turmoil that was going on anyway, had the federal government released the investigation information they'd found out about MLK? Dude, I personally think in this case, they kept it under wraps to try to keep some civil, or they kept it under wraps to prevent civil unrest. And had that information come out, dude, people would have been hooping and hollering, the government's lying, you're saying stuff, and I just don't think it would have been a good fit. Now with it all coming to light, man, it totally changes, right? It totally changes the aspect of the man that was doing one thing in public and then behind closed doors doing 180 out. And it just, man, how quick your legacy can kind of go in the crapper, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
I mean, people
Yeah.
still remember him for what he tried to do for the civil rights movement. But man, some of this other stuff, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the progressive, even when the progressives start to attack, his "I had a dream"
Mhm.
message, you're like, whoa, what do you mean? Isn't this what this is all about? And it's not. So you kind of learn a lot about them, the progressives, on that end too, because they don't want equality. They don't
Nope.
want everybody to be judged on their content of the character. They just don't. And that was,
No.
we like to talk about the positive things that we have, the people that are now no longer with us have done, rather than the poor.
Mhm.
But yeah, I hear it. And here's another thing too. You and I have talked about this in pre-production, and since we've been friends, that it's hard to believe that RFK and JFK are not linked.
Oh,
And
those
it's
two,
just terribly hard for me to believe that.
yeah, those two are definitely linked. One thing on the
Yeah.
MLK thing that kind of came to light too was his communist ties. And
Yeah.
it's, you look at, we were in a very, man, that 40s to early 70s era, man.
Oh, dude.
Strange times, right? Communist Party, people having Communist Party cards. I say that. Oh, Kamala was still part of the party, but guys, I got to say this, right? You got the communists dabbling. They're still dabbling. Because if you think China, a communist country, is our friends for 1 second, they're not. They don't care about you. They care about
No.
globalization of their communist ideology. So don't forget all that. But to your point, Mark, 100% when the JFK and RFK files come out, 100% they're going to be linked. Because let's think about it. Bobby Kennedy was John F. Kennedy's confidant. Obviously, they're brothers, right? He was the attorney general. Those two directly, chatted every single day, had the same value, same mindset on things. And when it comes to light, Lee Harvey Oswald was not the shooter. There's no way, right? And I got it. We've been told this our entire life, and I got it, right? So at an early age, you sit there and go, okay, cool. But man, that Zapruder film and the autopsy photos proves otherwise. If you look at the Zapruder film, that shot he takes, had he gotten hit in the back of the head, basically the force of that bullet would have drove his head forward versus driving his head back. When you look at the back of his skull, because Jackie basically goes to the back of the car to retrieve part of his brain.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so all the telltale signs is the shot came from the front. There's no way it came from the back. And then the Warren Commission, dude, when you look at the Warren Commission, when you look at the Warren Commission, that is such a piece of garbage document investigation, right? Like magically we find this pristine bullet. And I think I can't remember who they said it hit, right? Whether it was Governor Conley's forearm, because Governor Conley got shot up as well, right? This is the part that nobody brings up. Conley gets hit as well. So it's, whenever that comes out, if it was truly investigated, if it was truly looked at from all angles, if they really took this thing down the end, to sit there and say that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone shooter, there's a Zapruder film proves otherwise. The actual physical body of JFK and the head wound will prove something else. You got to look at between his headshot, his neck shot, Conley getting shot up, right? Where are all these bullets coming from? Will we ever, is it investigated to the T? We'll see. But I think when Bobby went up and he said, "Hey, I'm going to run for president." Was he going to dig deeper into the Warren Commission? I think the Warren Commission was posted by then, if I remember right, because there was like
they had announced that. I knew that when he was killed, that they had announced prior to that this case is closed and it's sealed. We're not.
Lee Harvey.
Everyone
put the burden on Lee Harvey Oswald, right? And of course, with Jack Ruby coming in and basically assassinating the patsy, well, how can you get any information? And then you look at Jack Ruby, who's got ties to the mob. I mean, this thing is so intertwined. And from investigating homicides, right? They're pretty clear cut. When you start tangling things, when you got multiple players involved, that's when you got to start going, something's not right. And then at the end of the day, it's all about the evidence. If John F. Kennedy got shot in the back of the head from Lee Harvey Oswald, as described, why did his skull and brain matter fly to the rear of the vehicle? Just ask yourself that. Why was the majority of that blood splatter, right? And you've investigated homicides, you know this. The force came from the front. It's just physics, right? You can't change that aspect. Now, if the Secret Service agents, Governor Conley, if they were covered in blood and brain matter was flown to the front, dude, you could easily say Lee Harvey Oswald was the guy. But it leads you too many questions. Why is all that splatter to the rear? And that's basic investigation 101, right? How did all this get missed, looked over, whatever you want to say, unless there wasn't, if you want to say a conspiracy, a cover up, whatever word you want to use. Yeah. And then Bobby, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and then Bobby came next.
Right. But I think Bobby, because you got to think Bobby was the Attorney General. Here's what I don't know. I don't know if he stayed on with LBJ or if he stepped out. I don't remember what happened there. Right. And I really don't know how much was he digging, investigating, doing any of that other stuff. But I can guarantee you this, him making a run for president.
That's what I was going to say. Right.
You don't think my man's first order of business is tell me what happened to my brother? Who killed
100%.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah. So anyway, folks, as you can see on the screen, if not, I'm going to tell you, if you're listening to the audio side of the house, whoever's listening or watching, you're awesome. Go to ontherangepodcast.com and try the crew membership. Try the crew membership for free. You get the all access package for 2 weeks. And as always, this show is brought to you by the Firearms Training Notebook from Hogg Tactical and Kelley Defense. 1% better every day. If you're training, you got to have a plan, whether it's live fire, dry fire. If you're not documenting all your tangibles, you're just not going to see your progression. It's impossible. So it's the way it is. You can like it or not, but go check out the book. Go to Amazon. You go to the websites, and you can go to Amazon and check it out. You type in Firearms Training Notebook. It's going to pop right up. So anyway, Rick, we're going to bring on a very colorful character, a couple of them actually. And here's the bottom line. Here is the 100% bottom line. This guy is right about a lot of stuff. The fact that it comes out sounding super kind of quirky and a little bit nutty and flamboyant is irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. And here's another thing too. If some of the stuff with the Sandy Hook stuff, and look, anybody can have a strong opinion about that. And I'm sure it would be 100% valid why you came up with that opinion. But here's the thing. You cannot eliminate someone's opinion on every other thing because you don't like one terrible thing that they may or may not have done. You just can't do it. Even Joe Rogan has said, hey, look, this guy comes on here and his shows get great views because he's all over the place and he talks real fast. But my man is right. I have a friend. He's retired now from all the stuff that you and I used to do as well. And his life, for the most part, was a train wreck. For a train wreck. But he was one of those cats, and he was not well liked by the folks that were in charge many times. If he said something and he was 100%, involved and engaged in any kind of a process, you should listen to him. He was right a lot of the time. And that's the way I feel about Alex Jones. My man, there's a reason why people continue to listen to him. And then on the flip side of that, there's a lot of reason why people may want to shut him down. It's not because he's wrong.
No,
it's because a lot of times he's right. So he has on Roger Stone on the Alex Jones show, which is now on Twitter. And I want to hear your take on what you think about Alex Jones just before we get started.
No, I mean, let's be an honest broker, right? He's on a lot. He's putting out a lot of information. And like you said, he's right. He'll almost predict things for the future.
I know.
Here's what's going on. Here's what I see. Hey, if this happens, that's going to happen. Hey, the deep state's doing this. Say what you want. Like you said, Mark, at the end of the day, you're like, my man's spot on. Right. And
yeah,
he's not blowing smoke or anything that's so crazy that you couldn't go, yeah, I could see that. I didn't see anything, super crazy or way out in left field,
yeah.
So one thing, one comment I did see on there. So as far as Trump declassifying the files about Kennedy first, so he gave them a 15-day. So they've got 15 days to get their stuff in order. So he's told them, hey, yeah. So that's why things are coming out, a little slower, because he gave them 15 days to get their stuff together. So I'm guessing probably with the MLK, his was probably the easiest file to release. And I'm sure as they get, who knows how much stuff is going to come out, where they're going to package it, upload it, all the stuff that they need to do to get those documents out there. So that's, right. I just want to add that that was one thing he did put in there. They've got up to 15 days. And they'll probably take the full 15 days to get that information out.
Yeah, because regardless of just openly releasing things, there are things that need to be protected that could affect folks who are, relatives or whatever. There are things that have to be considered. I'm not saying, hey, this is public information, we need to know it. I totally agree, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. But
I think the biggest thing is just getting it put, where they need to put it so that the public can access it.
Yeah, so that's another big concern too. You want everybody to have access to it.
Yeah. How many documents you need to scan and upload and everything else. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the president and the press secretary and his whole administration, I think they have proven up to this point very quickly that they are dedicated to that.
100%.
Not just the mainstream media. You're not getting it. Warhawk Tactical and Kelley Defense and On the Range podcast are getting it too. And matter of fact, we can have them in a seat if we want. You know what I mean?
It's a breath of fresh air.
Certainly.
Because we've had this legacy media just feeding us crap. And you're looking at an administration where you have a press secretary who basically rolls out there. What's she need the binder for? She knows the agenda. She knows what she's going to say. She gets to the point and she's sharp, right? You got these. I'm going to hit it again, man, because this drives me bonkers. You have these reporters. Well, were those 3,500 you reported criminals? Yeah, they're all criminals. What part of illegal, right? Stop changing the verbiage, to migrants and all. No, they're not migrants. They're illegal aliens. They crossed the border illegally. Bottom line. I'm sorry you use the app to sit there and register. That means nothing. That's garbage. Go through a legal point of entry. You getting your feet wet to come into the country, red flag number one, right? So anyway, I'm going to get off that soapbox and we'll get to Alex Jones.
That's a valid point. If you wanted to use that app and all of a sudden they shut it down because other people were using it to circumvent the process, go blame them. Don't blame me.
Yeah. No.
But anyway, here's a little clip from the Alex Jones show on, I think this was last night. I like how he had, my man's a showman.
Oh yeah.
He's like, emergency show. It's an emergency show.
They're all emergency. Count how many emergency shows he does. Everything's an emergency. Love the guy.
So anyway, let's go ahead and listen to it. He's definitely a character.
Oh yeah.
The dizzying successes, the enemy off balance. How are they going to strike back? Let's not get too confident. The historic moment, having feds throw out this inspector general that's involved in a mutiny and reportedly other ones. I mean, this is dizzying. I got a lot of energy, just like you. Trump used to say he had a lot of energy, the most you ever knew. This is like, Naomi Wolf and Gavin McInnes, everybody sees it. Nothing phases him now. He doesn't even respond to their crap now. He's like beyond ice water in the veins. Today in his blue tie up there, the command, and then like Melania's leveled up 5 levels, and she's like this sentinel firing lightning bolts out of her eyes behind him. This is archetypal. What the? I don't, folks, I am gushing because I was gushing over Musk. This was a history. These are the times people say you find out who you are in a crisis. And holy shit, what the fuck's going on with Trump? Because this is getting so good, I'm worried.
Earmuffs, kids. Earmuffs.
Well, Alex, first of all, thanks for having me. Secondarily, let me say that, ironically, I think Trump, who I think was a great president in his first term, despite the fact that some of the people around him thought their job was to delay, dilute, or derail his agenda. Ironically, this 4 years in the wilderness, being denied an re-election, which I think he actually won in 2020, has prepared him to be even a greater president in this term. He is a force of nature. He is a Superman, and he's had 4 years at the same time fighting the tsunami of lawfare and waging the most spectacular comeback in American political history, but also to prepare to hit the ground running. And he has a much, much better grasp on Washington, on the two-party duopoly that seeks to destroy our constitutional liberties, on the epic corruption of our intelligence agencies, about the deep infiltration of our military, about the power of the think tanks and the defense contractors and others who make huge profits out of war. Now you add to it the historic alliance with Robert F. Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and Democrats like Rod Blagojevich, where all people, regardless of party, all people of common sense, all people who are for peace over war, for free speech over censorship, and who want a healthier America for our families and our children, are on one side of the equation, and the McCains and the Cheneys and the Kinzigers and the warmongers, regardless of party, are all in the other camp. This is much greater than just a victory for the nominee of the Republican Party. This is a complete.
I totally agree with that. And he says it in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely is in a better spot now than he would have been had he won in 2020.
Oh,
for sure.
Brother, without a doubt, right? And this is where you can sit there and say what you want as far as him getting axed at the knees and everything else and wanting to get him out of power. That was their mistake by giving him that break because he was smarter. That 4 years he had to wait. He established a team that is an absolute wrecking machine. When this cabinet comes together, and again, we're still going through the proceedings for that. But when the team finally gets established and gets all the nominations in there, boom, and can actually get this thing up and fully running, man, stand back. And it's just, Roger Stone brings up some great points, right? Why in the world, we are Americans, why in the world censor our speech? We are entitled to our own opinion. Quit changing the word opinion in misinformation. Dude, I can say what I want. I am an American citizen. That is my God-given right. And they want to suppress it. They don't want you to speak. They don't want On the Range podcast. They don't want this free media out there because we speak our mind. Pull the blinders off, America. We've been lied to for the last 4 years. The powerhouse that's coming in, the changes that's happening is absolutely amazing. And then he brought up a great point. RFK, right? Why are you drilling a dude about trying to make the country healthier again? Because you've got big pharma interests, right? You've got all this backdoor crap. Our health policy, our nutrition, our food supply, insurance, it is broken to benefit those at the top who get your money. And what do you get in return? Squat.
Yeah.
You've been fed a bad bill of goods. Why is it that certain products made in the United States can poison you, but other places in the world, they won't take that garbage? Oh, you got to change the ingredients.
Elizabeth Warren said it. He wants to bankrupt the pharma. What do you mean bankrupt? They're making hundreds of billions of dollars.
Okay.
Bankrupt.
I'm gonna pause you for a second. Let's think about this, Mark. When we were growing up as kids, did you ever see an ad for Big Pharma?
Nope.
You know, so I know from just watching the TV that I watched. Now that I'm over 45, right? I'm still 29, but just work with me here, right? Now that I'm over 45, I should know this. I'm drawing a freaking the HPV. I'm safe from HPV, right? Because the news ads tells me, right? But dude, if you're over 50, meningococcal pneumonia is gonna get you, right? Like it's all fear mongering. Oh, so take this pill or get this shot or do whatever. It might do this, this, and this, and all these side effects might kill you, but get on it. It's like, dude, have you lost your mind? Right? Like it's all just big pharma in your face, in your face, in your face. Be gone with it. Exercise. How about them apples? Eat healthy when you can. It's going to cost you more because all these companies are putting all this crap in there to save money, to poison you. That, oh, by the way, you need that stupid pill or injection or whatever to get your health. So sorry,
dude, you can't go 10 minutes without seeing 15 freaking pharmaceutical commercials.
Dude, I think ridiculous. I'm dying. I don't even know what half the stuff is, but I feel like running the doc going, hey man, give me a script for this, this, and this, right? What do you need that for? TV told me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why do they advertise? To bring awareness, right? They're subliminally putting crap in your head. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I'd like to hear what they have to say about the files being released. Let me see if I can find it. This is a pretty big, he runs his stuff 24/7 on X.
Crazy.
Maybe we start doing that. Just running this show 24/7 for a whole day.
I guess you got to put it on.
My point is, we had to do this because the alternative was so insane. And thanks to independent media and us forcing the public to know who the bad guys were, people then rejected them. And now the change is so massive, but it's ours to lose. So good things Trump's doing. What's coming next in the agenda? How do you think the bad guys are going to strike back? Any chinks in the armor? And then in 10 minutes, we'll go to this exclusive tape of the head of the DNC and Billy Saul Estes admitting what we already knew, what you documented, your #1 New York Times best-selling book decades ago, where we are with that and what's coming up with the JFK release and the details of.
Now that's the piece I wanted everybody to see.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and run some of this.
And they have to kill Robert Kennedy, and they try to kill Ronald Reagan with Susie Wiles and the political director, James Blair. These are highly capable, highly skilled, highly effective people who understand their boss and understand their job is to.
And we've seen that now. So let me ask you the next question, and we'll go to JFK. You know the rule. We're winning, but we need to not be overconfident. That's when we lose it. How are the bad guys going to strike back? And how are they trying already?
And this is important to your point, Rick. All these people that they're talking about, they're very good. They're very qualified. They're very believable. The people trust them. They're in these positions. And then that is the dilemma that some of these folks on the side that don't want this information out of what they've done or what they're trying to do, because it's going to be a coup to what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
They don't want the American people to know this. And they don't want these people who can deliver that message, like Kash Patel, like Donald Trump. All these folks, they are believable. They have the facts and they got their stuff together. We can't have these people in power. And that's why I think they're leading into what happened with JFK. And that's exactly what you were saying.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and continue just a little bit here.
Cut interest rates. Canada just did. They were going to cut it if Kamala got in. Clinton Carter admitting that LBJ hired Mac Wallace to assassinate JFK. And Mac Wallace was just the go-between. But LBJ gave the order, but it was globalist above that that we're manipulating it. So here's the report.
So those who are watching, we're watching the Alex Jones show on X. Those who are listening, they're about ready to play a tape that was dropped. Now, where this exactly came from, I don't know.
How's life treating you today? Well, Saul, it's been pretty touch and go situation. Lyndon and I have had quite a few unpleasant words here lately over the deal with that he hired Mike Wallace to assassinate the president. It's been hectic.
Wow.
Yep.
Saul Estes and Carter Clinton talking about personal conversations that they had with Lyndon.
Mm-hmm.
What's your immediate thought on that? I've never heard this tape.
No, I haven't either.
I thought they were
right?
just going to talk. I thought it was going to be commentary. I didn't know they were going to play a tape.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think LBJ has got the juice.
Wow.
Right? That's a bold statement. And if that's the case, dude, and he's being sworn in, and for the viewer or for the listeners, we've got the picture up basically in Air Force One of LBJ being sworn in, and
Yes.
Jacqueline's right next to him. Jacqueline is still covered in blood. Like when you watch her go up the aircraft, she did not change. She's not doing anything. She is still covered in her husband's blood. And if she is standing next to the man that plotted that, good God, man, that I didn't think. Again, in my conspiracy mind, I wasn't thinking LBJ. Wow.
Here's the thing, though, dude. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I got a little bit of goosebumps going on right now, and I'll tell you why. The savagery,
dude,
that it takes to do something like that. Okay, the savageness.
And well, the savageness. But let's pause for a second, right? Typically, the vice president and president, there's some type of relationship there, right? So we can at least look for the Trump Vance. Hey, brought him on board, kind of interviewed, did all these things beforehand. You build a relationship with this individual. And to sit there and go have even the thought of the very man that you picked to help you run this country is the dude that just stuck the ice pick in your neck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's another thing too. And I hear the questions coming. Well, how do you know this is true? Blah, blah. Where'd this come from? Okay. Fair enough. 100%. And we're not saying that this is 100% authentic, good info. But let me tell you something. What we kind of set this show up. Alex Jones, in a million years, Roger Stone, in a million years, would never put that on there if they didn't have receipts. If they didn't have, it just wouldn't happen.
And here's the thing, LBJ, I believe, like him and Nixon, they were big and heavy into recording everything, like all the conversations recorded, right?
Oh yeah.
That Oval Office
Hoover
tape recorder ran 24/7, 365, right? And you can tell, I mean, this day and age, it's hard to tell what's real, what's not, sounds pretty authentic, sound quality from the 60s, so yeah, let's play this some more, man.
It's a bombshell. And after this is over, folks, I'm going to leave the link in the description so you can go watch the whole thing, but I'm going to watch the whole thing. But J. Edgar Hoover's out there running around, he's instrumental in the MLK stuff. So let's keep going.
In every way, but we've lived through it this far, and I guess we'll continue to do so. Lyndon should have never issued that order to Mike, but we've had our differences, and I'm a true blue to Lyndon, as I've always been, and tried to carry out every order that he'd ever given me. But this is one I'll probably never be able to forget. And the times that we've had in Texas, and the embarrassment that Lyndon had gotten from Kennedy, I guess there wasn't anything else to do but what he did. Well, Lyndon could have really hit me if he would. Well, Lyndon's the kind of person that doesn't want to help anyone. He's all for Lyndon, and that's the way he's pretty much always been. Well, they had me backed up on that Henry Marshall.
Oh my
They
God.
just kind of blackmailed me to keep my mouth shut. And if I hadn't had a bunch of tapes that I played after he got killed, because 17 got killed in this situation very mysteriously. And I found
Now, I guess this is Saul,
Mhm.
who's indicating that at least 17 people were killed over this whole incident. Now, what the incident is, I don't know. Maybe it's the incident of the actual JFK assassination and the cover up. I don't know. Or is it stuff leading up to that? I don't know. But yeah, these two guys are in it. They're involved.
Oh, so back then, the truth's out there. It's floating, but it's one of those, man. You said it on tape. I don't know who's recording whose conversation, but listen, Lyndon's in it for Lyndon. Savagery, man.
Yeah.
That's treason at the highest level, man. It gets no more than that to order the assassination of a sitting president where you're the VP and you're going to slide in, right? What kind of savagery? And again, they make it sound like Kennedy had done something to LBJ where he got chuckled, heckled, whatever. I don't quite know the situation, but dude, I'm that was not.
I'm blown away.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, dude. This just opened up a crazy Pandora's box.
Well, could it be that Carter Clinton is totally 100% trying to distance himself from Lyndon? I mean, it could be construed as that. He's like, hey, man, this guy's out for himself. I tried to do whatever I could for him, but this one I just can't. Come on, dude. You're still alive.
Yeah, for now.
You're still alive. That says something about your involvement.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I think it's best if I can't wait to watch this whole thing.
Yeah, no,
and I hope everybody who's listening does the same.
I think that's a pretty good ramp off point because, brother, we could probably be here all day, and I'm sure once we listen to it, truth comes out. But man, that was not what I was expecting. And here's the thing, guys, right? You're catching it first time, just like with us. And I think part of this, of the true and authentic is, man, you listen to that and you're like, whoa, I was not expecting that. I would have expected somebody from the military industrial complex, because JFK, again, he didn't want to commit to Vietnam. Of course, all those dollars that are going to happen, when that war machine kicks off and profits lost. And wow, to sit there and go LBJ. And I'm sure as documents start coming out, it'll be, hopefully there'll be some backing to that versus just a regular, one person voice recording. Cause again, you want to have the receipts to back it. But I could see why everyone has been so hesitant to release this. Right? God, I can't even. I don't even know what to say, brother. I'm at a speechless point. If that is true, if that is the case, the ultimate betrayal, the ultimate act of treason conducted by a president. Wow.
Yeah. And something could come out that would be contrary to this, of course.
Sure.
But, here's the thing. To set that in motion, was it Mac Wallace? Is that what he said? Was the person who was given the initiative to get this stuff moving forward?
Yeah.
It has to touch a lot of people, I would think, at that point in order to pull something like that off. And designing it, you can't just take one person. Maybe that's the 17 people they're talking about that we can't ask about. Hey, how'd you pull that off? You know what I mean? But
I mean, but then again, I mean, let's think about it, brother. Right? Let's think about it. The mere planning, coordination, 1960s time frame, right? To execute something of that magnitude, to assassinate a sitting president, and Then you got to find the players to execute it. Right. So you're just not grabbing Snuffy, the pipe hitter, off the street and going, hey, man, you want to smack Kennedy? Dude, you need somebody that's skilled. Right. Hey, you're going to have to hit, and I don't know if they plan for the headshot or, again, this is where we'll probably never find out the details. We might find out how many potential shooters were there. Right. We know we had the missed shot, if you want to say, because we got the throat grab. We got the one that hit Conley in the shoulder through the forearm, right? Obviously, whoever did the headshot, then you had this is where, because you got some speculation. Hey, it was the driver or the passenger of the limo, one of the Secret Service agents that took the shot. Wow. Could it have been? I don't know. The Zapruder film, it doesn't exactly, it's like not framed perfect. You can't see anything come back there. Like it's, but then why didn't Conley, Conley was there telling me Jackie didn't see nothing. Jackie didn't hear a pop from the front, right? Like, so all these things, some things seem very far-fetched, but to sit there and go, LBJ was the mastermind behind this thing. Christ, dude, and that had to be in the works for a while, right? You're just not going, hey, man, here's what's up. And then you got to think, right? Because it was either 2 or 3 days prior, the presidential route was put out in the paper down in Dallas. Like they knew exactly where they were driving, right? So, hey, we can set the patsy up, get all this stuff straight. Hey, X marks the spot. Here we go. So, I mean, there's planning, coordination, things that have to happen. And then finding the bodies to actually execute this thing. Good God, man.
Well, that's a very good point. And who are you going to trust? A radical who is a wackadoo, kind of a loner? Are you going to trust that he is going to make it to where he needs to be on time, has the skill set to carry it out, and actually has the willpower to go through with it? Yeah. My answer to that is 100% no. Yeah. It's going to be a professional that's in our employ, that's there for this type of reason, mostly in other countries. And it's going to be more than one, because once this gets set in motion, it cannot be a failure. And I know with the RFK thing, it's like, hey man, we got old boy to kind of do it and shoot him at the front, but my man got pistol punched from the rear. Yeah. So again, all those things, and here you made a great point. The time period that this is, they released that stuff. Dude, those folks knew already. They have people on the inside who knew exactly where he was going to be, what time he's going to be there, how fast he's going to be going, all that stuff. Who's going to be driving, or who's planning to be driving. They knew all that stuff. And it is just, it's taken me from thinking, one person, and we've talked about this, one person, it's hard to believe that one person can affect history that dramatically. And you know what? We were right. Or at least we believe now we're right that it wasn't one person. No. Like I said, for my standpoint, once I got better educated past the indoctrination that the public school system puts you in, that Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy. When you see the Zapruder film, to me, that was the telltale sign, right? Like you can't debunk it. Why they didn't destroy that thing is beyond me. But the Zapruder film, arrogance,
maybe
arrogance. I'm JFK, or I'm J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Warren Commission. Oh yeah, there's Lee Harvey Oswald.
We can do what we want. We're in charge here.
It's simple, and it goes back to this, right? It's simple criminology to sit there and go, look at the blood splatter. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, right? To go, hey man, why is all his blood, brain matter thrown to the back of the car? That can only be for one reason, because the shot came from the front. Yeah. Right now, the suspect, grassy knoll, and you can go on and on going, okay, hey, we don't want you to drive the car over 20 miles an hour so that everyone can see whatever. Like, I don't know I can't recollect the speed of the vehicle, but it wasn't that fast. And then looking at
plus they're coming straight at them. So there's almost
coming,
zero.
hey, here's the spot, all that stuff. Do I still think there was a shooter in the back? Yeah, I think they had multiple angles going in there, right? Because how do you explain Conley's wounds? And Conley's wounds were up high, right? Because he gets hit in the shoulder down into the forearm. So, but nobody ever wants to get on that stuff, right? Nobody is okay. Hey man, that in itself is suspect. But I guess going, hey, and I don't know with the bullet wound to the neck, right? Like, so here's where it gets, I don't know where that projectile went when you get shot in the neck, right? Because your neck ain't stopping a rifle round, bottom line. Where'd that projectile go, right? Like all these questions. And I think that the car got quickly cleaned up and done whatever. But God, it's going to be.
Yeah.
Wow, America.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and thanks, brother. You gave me some homework for this afternoon.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That's going to be a rabbit hole as soon as that stuff comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that time period, like you were talking about, you say 15 days. It probably will trickle out because I think they're going to want to say, hey, look, we couldn't get it all out because it's still some of it's, getting scrubbed or whatever for my team.
Just between,
and here's some stuff, but I'd like to see it all just come out.
I would too, but can you, you're working full steam. God knows how many tapes, God knows how many documents, especially for JFK, right?
Yeah.
How many rabbit holes does it go down? How many roadblocks?
Great point. Dude, logistically, how many pieces of material are there? You know what I'm saying? It's just, very good point. So if they can't get through it all, then let's hope they're putting it out as it's available. Just keep putting it out.
Yeah. Well, they've got the mandate of 15. So I think like you're saying, hey, at 15, here's something more to follow because we don't have the capability to get it out there.
Right.
And there's going to be some technologies because I'm sure it's going up online. Hey, you've got to find a server to host it. You got to scan it. Dude, that's going to be a robust system in itself.
Yeah.
So,
man, was not expecting that.
Was
not expecting that. Wow. It does kind of seem like old boy Carter Clinton was just trying to distance himself. Doesn't mean it's not true.
No. And that's a bold statement. Let's think about it.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very bold statement. I don't know the exact date on that recording, but sometime in the 60s there, to even make the implication, right? Everyone could have thought, hey, you could have thought the commies, you could have, because that was the kind of the play, right? Let's set Lee Harvey Oswald up. He's got ties to communists. Anti-American stuff. He's been to Cuba, yada, yada. Okay, cool. There's your patsy, right? Playing the, so, hey, man, what are the Cubans doing? Or the Russians killing freaking Kennedy? But to go, Lyndon?
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Why distance yourself from the president if he had nothing to do with it? Why would you feel the need to do that?
It's a good question.
Not only is he said he gave the order.
Yeah. Yeah. Evil, man.
Wow.
God.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, folks, make sure you go to ontherangepodcast.com. Thanks for joining us. Had a blast on this live, and I hope everybody's jumping on the comments. Had a lot of good comments from Diamond Dog. I like that name. Make sure you go there and you check out the crew membership at ontherangepodcast.com. You can try it for free. There's also a free membership, but if you want to get the good stuff, there's minimal tiers that you can join, and it's just to keep the lights on so we can keep that content coming, because what we're trying to do is be 1% better every day, try to push the training side of the house, the fitness side of the house, and the lifestyle of being someone who just wants to be better, be an asset. And that's what it's all about. So make sure you go to warhog.com, kelleydefense.com, and sign up for our news lists and newsletters. Rick does a really good job and has a lot of articles that come out on those, his newsletters. So make sure you check that out. But no, man, great episode again. And I really like these lives. It seemed to me that there was a lot more active viewers. When I say active, not necessarily active on the comments, but actively watching at the same time. the earlier show was a little bit better, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But we're really enjoying the live shows that we do a couple times a week, and then we'll do one from the studio. And then with that, you get the bonus content with the crew memberships when we get the bonus content out there, and it goes straight to them, exclusive to them, all the behind scenes stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to have you here, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just got one thing before I close it out here. So guys, February 6th and 7th, if you're a law enforcement officer in the Holt, Florida area, that is the panhandle of Florida. So whether you're in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, if you're within the vicinity of Holt, come on out. That is free law enforcement red dot pistol training. We'll provide the pistols, optics, and holsters. All you got to do is provide 400 rounds of ammo and get yourself a free day of training. You will get a copy of the firearms training notebook as well, and we will make you 1% better. I guarantee. That following weekend, we've got a one-day CQB course. We've got a one-day pistol course, again, right there in Holt, Florida. And then circling back 22 February, back up here to North Carolina to do a pistol marksmanship tune-up. So all that's available at warhog.com. But guys, appreciate all your support tuning in. Mark, is always a great show. And for you, the viewer listener, we appreciate your support more than you know. So make sure you guys train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you on the range.